Today I will be presenting on the Egyptian Book of the Dead. First things first, when was it written? The book starts with tomb paintings and inscriptions from the 3rd dynasty, papyrus rolls from the 12th dynasty, and coffins and shrouds from the 17th dynasty. The culture at the time viewed death as a continuation of life. They believed there was a paradise awaiting those in the afterlife, and the dead would need instructions on how to make it there. It was also common for tombs to have paintings and tombs to be filled with goods and riches. According to an article from worldhistory.org on the Egyptian Book of the Dead, they stated, they also served, however, to provide the soul with foreknowledge of what would be expected at every stage. Having a Book of the Dead in one's tomb would be the equivalent of a student in the modern day getting their hands on all the test answers they would ever need in every grade of school. This just goes to show how important these instructions were to the culture at the time. One question one may have is, who wrote the book? Well, the Egyptian Book of the Dead has no single author. This book is a collection of different instructions for different people written over many years. Some of the individuals who would write different pieces of the book include priests, scholars, and scribes. The book was made up of a collection of many different spells, prayers, and hymns, and was mainly available to wealthy individuals. They held the belief that people were made up of different elements, and the spells they would write helped to make sure that these elements stayed intact. Not only this, but in ancient Egypt, they were polytheistic. Therefore, they believed in multiple gods just like the Greeks and Romans. These spells included the many gods to help the dead when they would interact with them. To quickly summarize the book, the Egyptian Book of the Dead is a collection of 175 spells put together by multiple authors as a way to guide the dead in the afterlife so they could reach paradise. It was believed that as these individuals passed on, they would have to face difficulties in judgment. Therefore, the spells that comprise this book was created as a guide and aid for those who needed to find their way through the afterlife to make it to paradise. Otherwise, you would experience a second death. Many of these scribes were written for specific individuals relating to the life that they lived, and they would be recited as this person grew closer to death. One of the more notorious spells in this book is spell 125. In this spell, the heart would be judged by the gods, and the dead needed to know what to say. Confessions would be made, and the heart would be weighed. If you passed, you must also recite the names of the gods, who they were, and other small details. This is where the spells came in to help the dead know what to say and make it to paradise. What could have influenced the book? This book has evolved from a tradition of funerary writings in ancient times, such as pyramid texts and coffin texts, that were eventually put together and accessible to those who could afford it. This book has been able to influence the Tibetan Book of Death, as they are both similar, and the translation of the Tibetan Book of Death, Evans Wentz, gave it the same type of title after noticing similarities between the two. How was this book discovered? The Egyptian Book of the Dead has been collected over thousands of years, and to this day we are still finding new texts. Recently, in 2022, there was a discovery of a 2,000-year-old version inside of a coffin. The book was first translated by a German named Karl Richard Lepsius, allowing for others to be able to read the book. Some other works of literature and entertainment that seem similar to the Egyptian Book of the Dead include the Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri, the Tibetan Book of Death, and similarities theme-wise to the Epic of Gilgamesh. For example, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh has to face many gods on his journey to immortality. In the Egyptian Book of Death, or Book of the Dead, it was believed that the deceased would face gods on their journey to paradise, and the book contained instructions on how to get past these gods. Why is the Egyptian Book of the Dead still relevant? This book is relevant because it provides us with a window into the past and the culture of ancient Egypt. This book has also helped us understand mummification because it was believed that a part of the soul may need a physical form to come back to. The book also represents Egyptian religion and their belief in multiple gods, and also their view on death. Lastly, the book contains interesting concepts and illustrations that can be entertaining to read about. Even though it has been around for thousands of years, this book will forever be one of the most interesting books of ancient times.